Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, folks, depending on your time frame and locations, wherever you guys are based in. I am based in London, so good afternoon from myself. My name is Naeem Aslam. I work as a Chief Market Analyst with AvaTrade. My wealth of 15 years of trading experience. During this time period, I have worked as a hedge fund trader with Bank of New York Mellon, as an equity trader with Bank of America. And today I will be conducting this master class and we'll be talking about digital assets. So once again, welcome to our weekly webinar and our series of master classes, where in each week we discuss several different topics. Various different topics are covered, and we really kind of mention the market opportunities and have discussions where are those possible pivot points in the market, and more importantly, why the market is moving in one particular direction. Now, as always, before we continue any further, it is important for me to have a sound check, and if you can see my screen, if both are okay, please kindly do say yes or no, because that will help me to become more confident that you guys are, you can listen, and of course you can see my screen as well. Thank you so much. I can see that a lot of people are already helping out by saying yes, and everyone, people are from all over the world. I can see so many different messages from various parts of the world. All right, okay, great. So if you have attended any of my previous webinars, please do say yes, because that kind of gives me an idea of how many people have already attended our previous webinars. And if you haven't, feel free to type no as well, and then I can just gauge through that how many newcomers are over here and how many people who are regular and really kind of want to, continue to learn from this one, because there's nothing more important than education for sure. All right, great. Thank you so much for that. Now we will begin our webinar, and as always, before we do anything else, it is important for me to go through this disclaimer and risk warnings, which is right in front of you. If you have any further questions, feel free to ask us more questions on that. Now, as always, the contact details for AvaTrade, they are right in front of you as well. The Twitter handle is AvaTrade, and YouTube is AvaTrade as well. On a daily basis, we do put two different videos. One is daily fundamental video, and the other one is technical analysis video. Now, on the agenda today, what we will be discussing is, what is Bitcoin? Is it really a safe haven asset? That's something that we'll be looking at very closely. And secondly, we'll be looking at what are the fundamentals that are really moving the price to the upside and to the downside. More recently, it's more of a downside move than to the upside, especially during this particular week after the drama that we have seen over the weekend. So we'll be discussing all of that in a lot more detail. And then we'll be looking at the supply side of the equation, and then maybe looking at the CBDC, the central bank's digital currencies in that space as well. And then the most important question would be that how big is the demand for Bitcoin, and where can that lead the Bitcoin price in the future? So we'll be discussing all of that, and then following these conversations, we'll be discussing defining levels. This is obviously the most important aspect of this webinar. So we'll be looking at the price action on various different timescales and really sort of making our opinion, where are those pivot levels in terms of Bitcoins. And of course, I'll be also looking at a few other coins as well, such as XRP and Ethereum. If we do still have time after all of this, I'll be happy to look at other coins that you may be looking at and that are available on AvaTrade's website and on our platform. So what is Bitcoin? So why don't I leave that? Why don't you guys help me with that question by answering that question? So why don't you guys explain or just throw some suggestions over here that what do you think of Bitcoin? What comes into your mind when you think of Bitcoin? So throw some random answers over there. There you go. So you know, some people saying that it is a virtual currency, and then we have someone saying Derek is saying that a digital currency. John is saying a blockchain tech, and Glenn is saying could be revolutionary. All of these answers are certainly on the right side of the equation, because Bitcoin is certainly a revolutionary. It is certainly a blockchain technology. It is also classified as a virtual and a digital currency. And Leslie has said that it is a virtual asset. And something that are kind of one important definition that I am looking for, which hasn't arrived yet, is what we called, it is also known as a store of value, meaning just like how gold, we buy it and we hold it for long-term perspective by thinking that the prices will continue to move higher. The concept over here is no different as well. The same sort of a concept goes over here as well. When traders buy Bitcoin, they are hoping for the price to continue to rise, just like how it did today, how it did this particular year. We have seen Bitcoin prices rising more than threefold already. And of course, the recent retracement in Bitcoin price represents an opportunity. Now, the second question over here is it really a safe haven? Well, look at from this perspective that, you know, more recently, Bitcoin and gold both are being considered by institutions, by family offices, by high net worth individuals as an asset, which is classified as a safe haven asset. Meaning when investors think that everything else can really blow out of proportion, everything else can just be under threat, Bitcoin and gold, they both can serve as a medium of they can provide that safety net to investors that they may be looking for. So yes, it is certainly classified now as a safe haven asset. Now, what is moving Bitcoin prices? Of course, the massive rally in Bitcoin that we have seen over this particular year, or perhaps maybe at this since late last year, is primarily because investors believe that you know, there is enormous amount of interest among institutions. More recently, we have heard Goldman Sachs, you know, which is the biggest bank on Wall Street, which in early days said that you know, Bitcoin is nothing but a sham. It is not going to work. JP Morgan, another Wall Street bank, also said some very similar comments, and Warren Buffett, you know, used rat poison as a term to refer to, you know, Bitcoin. So all of these big banks now, they have shifted their narrative or stance towards Bitcoin, because now Morgan Stanley is, with again the third biggest bank on Wall Street, is offering its clients Bitcoin and Goldman Sachs is also going to offer Bitcoin to its wealthier clients. In addition to that, we have several different S&P 500 companies now looking at to invest Bitcoin or making Bitcoin as a part of their treasury system. For instance, as you may have heard, Tesla invested heavily in Bitcoin, and it accepts Bitcoin as a part of a payment or as a full payment for his cars as well. PayPal, another payment processing platform, has also started to use Bitcoin as a form of payment as well. Then we have several other companies also looking very closely with doing the same as well. So all of these positive factors really pushed the Bitcoin prices towards a record high. And last week we saw Bitcoin prices going all the way to 64,000 to be in fact very close to that 65,000. But over the weekend, we saw this this kind of a Bitcoin price moving to the downside. Again, we will discuss all of that by looking at the chart, because there was this thought that okay, regulators are going to take tough stance against Bitcoin, and that pushed the Bitcoin prices to the downside. Now again, with the third question, I would like you guys to participate on this one. Is the supply really limited? What do you guys think? Is Bitcoin supply really limited? Absolutely. Amutha said that yes. So what is the total supply of Bitcoin which is there? So do you guys know that the total Bitcoin supply? 21 million. Absolutely. That is the total Bitcoin supply which is out there. And just like fiat currency, where there is nothing cap, like they can continue to print dollar to infinity into infinity. They can continue to print sterling to infinity. They can continue to print euro to infinity. They can continue to print Japanese yuan sorry, Japanese yen, Chinese yuan to infinity. But with Bitcoin, you cannot continue to print to infinity. There is a limited supply. Now, because of this limited supply, there is this fear of missing out among institutions, among big funds, among big family offices who haven't been able to be part of this particular journey. Now they are very, very eager to start buying Bitcoin because of its limited supply. So that is with respect to that. So someone has asked me whether the recording of this webinar will be available. Yes, of course, the recording will be available and it will be uploaded on our YouTube channel. Now, how big is the demand? Now, again, this particular question very much is based on the third question above. As I said, the supply is limited, so that means the demand is infinitive. Like there is no cap on demand on that, because if the supply is limited, demand can go as high as it can. And right now we are seeing the S&P 500 companies really going into this. And in addition to that, we are also seeing, a family office, sorry, apologies for a bit of a disruption. So we are seeing that demand coming in here as well from family offices, from institution side as well. So we're really seeing all of that demand coming there as well. So now let's quickly move on to our charts and see what exactly is going on in terms of defining the levels and really get to that juicy beauty bits. So now we are going to look at the MT4 platform, and we're going to go on to the BTC, Bitcoin's daily chart. And on the daily chart, what we're really going to see is that where the price is really trading in, and we'll be defining various different price levels. What are those important price levels where the price can really be moving towards, and whether we can possibly see that price reversing its current direction and all of that. So this is the most important part, obviously, which a lot of you guys would like to know a lot more about that. So as always, we will begin the conversation by looking at the daily time frame And on the daily time frame, what we really see is that we have this upward massive trend to the there is no doubt about that. And then we have three different moving averages. So firstly, we have our 50-day simple moving average in pink, and then we have our 100-day simple moving average in orange, and finally we have our 200-day simple moving average in green. Now, clearly the 50-day simple moving average has provided a lot of support to the price, because over here, when the price was went too far, sorry, too far and too fast, we did see the price reverting back towards this 50-day simple moving average. And back in January, we saw the price, bouncing back from its 50-day simple moving average, and we saw the price literally, going from 30,000 to all the way to 56,000. And then once again, when the price went too far too fast, we saw the price again reversing and coming back towards its 50-day simple moving average. And under this circumstance, the price didn't really touch that 50-day simple moving average, but it was very much close enough to that one. And then after that, again, we saw the price coming close towards its 50-day simple moving average, as you can see over here. So between here and here, we could see that the price started to test the 50-day simple moving average too soon. So there was this sort of concern that the 50-day simple moving average can no longer provide the support that it provided over here, or that it provided over here, because price is quickly reversing back towards 50-day simple moving average too quickly, and there are chances for price to break below that. And then guess what happened? Over the weekend, we saw the price breaking below the 50-day simple moving average, and yesterday we had a brief break of that 50-day simple moving average to the upside, but then again the price sort of fell below the 50-day simple moving average today again. And this is making me a little bit concerned now, because what we are really seeing in terms of the price is that there is a possibility of this 50-day of this price, if it doesn't really stop at if it doesn't find support, which we hope that it does, near near the low of this candle, and the low of that candle is 52,240, so just in around that, then it is very, very likely for this particular price to move from here to really going towards this particular area of support. And that area of support is very much coming by looking at the chart on the left hand side and then seeing where that big momentum has really occurred. Because when we see it from here, we see that there was this explosive move to the upside, which pushed the prices back to the upside. So I'm really focusing on this area, but I'm hoping at the same time that this 100-day simple moving average can really provide the support to this current price retracement which we are seeing. Otherwise, we should be able to see the price moving, from this area of support. But if the price doesn't really sort of find the support over here, of course, then we'll be focusing on this particular candle in this particular area as our next area of support. So really the price level of 43,313. And if the price still cannot find any support from here, then we will be looking at the price to find support towards its 200-day simple moving average, and that means the price would be going close to its 34,616 sort of a price level to 35,550. Overall, this support zone runs from 31,000 to all the way to 34,616. So these are the sort of a support levels on the daily time frame that we are really looking at. However, if we do see the price coming and then respecting the low of this one, and then starting to bounce back to the upside, then one could really place a stop just below the low of this candle and then let this price move to the upside. Of course, it is going to find its first resistance when the moment that it's going to get close to its 50-day simple moving average. So if you are taking a position somewhere around here, you may want to take something off, very small portion off at here. But remember, the target is not here. The target is the continuation of the price beyond the previous highs. So beyond the all-time highs of that 64,800, and so the highs of this candle is really to find that refine that entry into this area of support. Now, in terms of the RSI, what we are seeing is we're seeing something which is very in line with the price action, because the price is moving to the downside. There is no doubt about that, as you can see. And the RSI is also confirming the trend over here as well. We have a high, we have a lower high, we have a lower high, we have a lower high, and then we have a low. We don't have a lower low and we don't have a lower high as well for the time being. Similarly, we have a high right over here, and then we have a lower high over here, and the price is still forming a sort of a lower low, as you can see from here. So really what it is telling us that it is more likely for the price to break to the downside. And moreover, if we focus on the low of today's and compare the focus of the low of this day, we can already see that the price has already gone beyond the low of the day before yesterday. So this is further indication to us that the price is really likely to touch the low of this candle. This is where things can really be shaping up. This is where we could potentially be seeing a double bottom, for first bottom being over here, and the possibility of other bottom forming over here. Of course, if it forms that, if it happens like that, then these double bottoms are very bullish patterns. Then we could see the price moving to the upside from here, and we could potentially see the price moving to the towards its back towards its all-time high. Now, for those, let me just quickly check some of the questions now before we go into the intraday time frame. Okay, so it is so there are, okay, so not many questions over there for the time being. So we will was there a divergence RSI on a weekly time frame on the previous weeks? We will check that on the weekly time frame. Okay, so someone is asking what is halving. Halving, okay, so basically that is the reward ratio for the miners when it goes down. That is what is called halving of that. So basically the reward for miners becomes half. That is called halving in very simple and plain English. Possible to enlarge chart to be able to see the pivoting marks? Sure, I can do that. Let me just go back to this, and let me just show you those big price points. So there we go. So you can see that these are the price levels. This is the first support zone that we have really marked in. This is where our previous resistance level is really marked in. Right. Okay, now let's move on to our 4-hour time frame and then see what is our 4-hour time frame really telling us in relation to that as well, because this is where we are going to see more the first sign of bullish momentum coming in. And again, we will have a look at on a 30-minute time frame as well, because we are performing an analysis on 3 different time frames. So the 30-minute time frame is really going to give us the first signal for that, but I'll go on to that. So on the 4-hour time frame, what we really see is the price is already trading below it's all the 3 important moving averages, and we have this sort of a symmetrical triangle forming, where we have lower highs and lower we have higher lows and lower higher So we have a low and then we have a higher lows. So we're just connecting them. We have formed a symmetrical triangle, and what it really tells us that the price is very much becoming narrow in terms of its range, because remember over here the range was quite big, and now that range is becoming smaller and smaller. So the possibility really is that the price can either break to the upside or the price can break to the downside. Now, of course, in terms of the RSI, we are seeing the positive momentum coming in here, and that means that with this, the chances of this happening are slightly bit more than the chances of this happening. But obviously, if this happens, then we are going to be looking at 100-day simple moving average to be broken up first. And if this gets broken, or if the price breaks above this one, then we will see the day on the daily time frame, we will see the price quickly moving back above the 50-day simple moving average. So we will have that confirmation very much coming from the 4-hour time frame. And for the 4-hour time frame, this particular confirmation is going to be coming from our 30-minute time frame. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is that on the 30-minute time frame, what we are really likely to see is that are we going to see the price breaking above the 50 and 100-day simple moving average? Can the price really break above these two moving averages? No, because if the price can break above these two important moving averages, this is where we're going to get the most bullish sign first. If the price can move above these two important moving averages fairly quickly, then we will know pretty much straight away that yes, now the price has really real chances. The bulls back in town. Price has a chance to break, to continue its momentum to the upside. So we'll be very much focused over here. And then earlier you can see that the price kind of tried to challenge the 100 simple moving average, but it has fallen short of that. So we will continue to monitor these particular price moves. But once again, the moment the price breaks above, to summarize that, once the price breaks above these two moving averages, we will have the confirmation that now the price is also going to break above the 200-day simple moving average on the 4-hour time frame, and then we'll also have the confirmation at the same time that the breakout of the 50-day simple moving average has a lot of momentum behind it now, because the 30-minute time frame is telling us that the bulls are in control, and as long as the price stays above that, we can be more confident of this breakout of the price on the daily time frame of the 50-day simple moving average. Does that make sense? Because now we have very much come close to the end of our discussion. So one of the questions is, if the US dollar is down, does this affect Bitcoin? Absolutely it does. The weakness in the dollar index certainly impacts the price enormously. So in the recent few days, we have seen that weakness, in the dollar index weakness pushing the gold price there. But obviously, we haven't seen the same sort of momentum for Bitcoin because of those regulatory headlines that came over the weekend. Any other questions? Feel free to ask me questions, because this is your opportunity to ask me. Otherwise, I'll summarize this, that the confirmation of the breakout of the 50-day simple moving average is really going to be coming from the 30-minute time frame, as I mentioned over here. The moment we break above these two moving averages, the price stays above these moving averages, we are very, very much likely to see Bitcoin prices moving to the upside. The short-term target for me in terms of a Bitcoin is really $70,000 per Bitcoin. And the long-term target for Bitcoin for me is that $100,000. All right, folks, so this is where we will pretty much call it a day. And I hope this was helpful for you guys. And I will see you guys same time, same place next week. Um, stay safe, and I'll see you next week then.